So what I'm gonna make today in Merry Vlogmas Day 4 is this super cute little wall hanging. But the catch is, I'm not gonna put it on the wall. I'm gonna put it on the back of a denim shirt. I have a Christmas party to go to tomorrow for my quilt guild. And I thought it would be really fun to wear a quilted type of shirt. So I just bought a simple plain denim shirt, and I'm going to enhance it by putting this Christmas tree on the back and make it look a little more Christmassy. I'm going to try to do something on the front. I just haven't decided what yet. So today, that's what I'm working on. Now, I'm taking the Jordan fabric pattern, which is a free download. If you go to their website and you look under free patterns and type in Christmas tree wall hanging, you can print out this pattern. So it uses 2" by 2" squares. So the cream and the green, they're all little tiny pieces of 2" square fabric cut and sewn together. So I'm kind of taking two different systems. So I'm taking the Jordan fabric pattern, and I'm going to take the 10 Sisters idea. So 10 Sisters is they make a product that is a fusible interfacing, and it's all on a grid. It's on a various size grid, but the grid that I have is on a 2" grid. So the finished would be 1.5 with seam allowances. And this is what the little grid paper, or the grid interfacing, I should say, looks like. So it looks like this. I don't know if you can see. And you can buy it by the yard, or you can buy it by the package. This is what it comes like by the yard. Can you tell that little grid on there? So what I did is I took the grid, because this pattern does not call for the Christmas tree to be completely lined up by seams. Can you see every other row is offset from the square? So I took the grid and I cut the pieces apart like this. So I'm just going to use the grid to help me sew together each row, and then I'll have to sew the rows together. So I have it all laid out. This is how it's going to be. The other thing that I did, back up for a second. So my mom had this whole container full of 2" squares already cut. And when she passed away several years ago, I inherited all of her quilting fabric and her UFOs and all of her quilting supplies. I did share some of it with some of her friends and her quilt guild, but I did keep a lot of it as well. So these 2" squares were something that she already had. So I dug through the 2" squares and I sorted the green and the creams out, because you want a whole variety of green and creams for this project. But they were already cut, ready to go. So I'll show you. Here's where I sorted, and here's the strips. Now, if you notice underneath the strips, I put a beach towel, and I did that on purpose because I'm going to iron these down so that they're super easy to take right over to my sewing machine, and then I can just fold and sew them together. This is my first time sewing on this 10 Sisters fabric. I had started a quilt a long time ago. I laid it all out, ironed it down, but I never actually sewed it together. So silly, I know. I have so many UFOs. So this will be a fun experiment to try. So one of the things that it says in their, in the Jordan Fabrics pattern is, when you're doing your half square triangles, they tell you to cut the half square triangles 2 3/8 square instead of a 2" square. And then though you're going to draw your line down the center, and you sew a 1/4 inch on each side. Well, I'm just going to do, since I have all these 2-inch squares cut, I'm just going to go ahead and do 14 half square triangles where I draw a line down the center of the cream fabric, and I'm going to sew right on that line. So yes, I'm wasting part of the fabric, but I don't have to go and cut 14 extra squares from scraps. They're already cut, and it'll be fine. Okay, this is a better picture of how she laid out the pattern. You can see all the little individual blocks. And in the comments on her YouTube channel, they commented that she should add a star to the top. So I think I will cut a star out that is backed with steamacine too. Iron that on and sew around it and just applique a star on the top as well. So I'm definitely altering her pattern slightly. You don't have to do that at all. The other thing that she calls for, these little red circles, are just steamacine 2 on, and because it's a wall hanging and not getting washed, she didn't sew them on at all. They were just steamacined. So instead of those little red circles, I'm going to sew buttons on mine. So my little ornaments will be various colored buttons instead of just the red ones. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show you is one of my new Christmas shirts. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I ordered this off Amazon. This seems to be the new style where they have bleach and then they have a little pattern on it. But I thought it was super cute. I wish it was maybe a little bit bigger. I did order my normal size, but I'm sure it's made in China, so it ran a little small. But I do love it. It's soft and super comfy, so I wanted to show you that also. All right, so I'm gonna go start sewing my half square triangles, and I'll be back. So I'm sewing together my half square triangles. This is what it's gonna look like when it's all sewn together. So I'm gonna draw a faint pencil line on the back side of one of my cream pieces of fabric, not on the front side. So on the back side. Okay, and then I'm gonna put my right sides together with a green one. So a cream one with a green one. And I can pin it if I want, or I can just go ahead and stick it under the presser foot and go ahead and sew. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and mark all of my cream ones and make all of my little pairs like this. I'm just gonna put one little pin in it to hold it together, and then I will chain piece them. So I'll be right back. So this is the view from my sewing machine. It's a beautiful day in Texas, so I have my door open to our screened-in porch, and I get to overlook the porch and see the horses. One of the dogs is sitting out there with the donkey. So we have 3 horses and a donkey, but this is my view. It's beautiful, and it's a beautiful day to have the door open and enjoy some fresh air. So I have all of my squares, the lines drawn down the middle on the cream side, and I have a cream and a green right sides together pinned, and now I'm just going to chain piece. So when you chain piece, what you're doing is you're not stopping to cut in between each little square. So only thing I have to stop to do is add another square. Okay, so see, I just keep adding and adding, and they call it chain piecing because when you're done, you have this big long chain that's connected by just a couple of threads in between each piece that you're sewing. So I'm going slow because I'm trying to stay right on that line as best I can. So here's my chain. So I have 14 sewn. Now, what I'm going to do is cut in between each one and pull my pin out. And then I'm also going to cut on one side because I did not do the technique where you can do 2 at a time. I just wanted to do the 1 at a time so I could use up these 2-inch squares. I know there's other half square triangle techniques where you can do 4 at a time or 8 at a time, but I'm fine with just doing the 1. This isn't a very big project. There's only, the whole grid is 9 by 9. So that means I'm going to have 81 pieces that I'm sewing together. That shouldn't take me very long. All right, then what I need to do after I get them all cut apart is I'm just going to press them open with my iron, and I'm going to press so that it's folded to the dark side. So you want the seam to go to the dark side. If you pressed it to the light side, when you lay it out on that shirt, you're going to see that seam there. When you press it to the dark side, you don't see the seam. All right, I'll be back in just a minute after I'm done cutting and pressing. Next thing it says to do is to lay out your half square triangles first on your little grid. So I'm just going to kind of follow along with where they place their half square triangles. So you start, the first row is all cream. So the second row, you're going to start with your half square triangles in the middle. So here's my middle. So I'm going to put one going this way, and then they have a light one and it goes this way. So this is how you make like the point of your Christmas tree, the top of the Christmas tree. So my grid is only 9 wide. So there's going to be ones that stick off at the end that are like a half of one, if that makes any sense. It'll only be adhered on by just a tiny bit, just a half. All right, I thought this made a really fun trunk piece. So it's dark and it's got the lines in it with a little bit of gold. I'm going to give it a tiny press because it's curled up a little. So there's my trunk. Now I fill in the whole tree with green. Again, you're kind of varying your lights and your darks all over the place. However you want to do it. I would put probably 2 of each of the fabrics. I don't really have enough to make it where there's all different greens. So I would make sure I did 2 of each of the different fabrics in the middle if you can, just so you've got a little bit of continuity throughout the whole tree. Oh, I want that one there. Okay, so now I have it all laid out the way I think I like it. And I'm going to iron it down and then take it over to the sewing machine and start sewing a single row. So I'm going to sew the little squares together. They'll be all ironed down. It should go pretty quick. All right, so here's how I'm gonna iron it. Remember, I'm putting the Teflon sheet over the top. I don't want anything to stick to my iron. My iron is the Panasonic cordless. With any fusible web, you really have to let the iron sit on it for just a minute before it's secured down pretty well. Because I have the Teflon sheet over the top, I'm not worrying about doing any steam. And once it's cooled a little bit, I'm just gonna take a peek and see, well, it's stuck to my Teflon here. Yep, it's adhered down well. So I just kind of go over it, count 1001, 1002, 1003, and then move my iron. All right, I'm gonna show you how I sew a row. So they just fold, they flap over very easily, which is so nice. And I am doing a little back stitching. I know because I'm crossing seams, I really shouldn't have to, but I just figure it's better to be safe than sorry. So this product is really not designed to be cut apart like I did. It is designed to sew a whole complete row at a time, which makes it really fast and easy. But because my rows didn't line up, my rows were offset, I had to cut them apart. You might be able to adjust your pattern so that they did line up a little bit better, but my pattern, the Jordan Fabrics pattern, was designed where they're offset, so you don't have to worry about matching up any corners, which is nice. So this is a little bit fussier than the way this actual product is made, but I feel like this product is still helping me to save time, because all I have to do is press them all down on the interfacing, and then I can take the whole row over at a time and go ahead and sew it down. So I don't have to worry about making sure they stay in the right order or anything like that. So I do think it is saving me time, although it's a unique way of using it. Okay, and you can see they just fold super nice. Just folding over very nicely. So this foot is a 1/4 inch foot. This is the high performance plate and the high performance foot. So this foot on the Elna 720 Pro is my machine. It is designed for precision and for quilting, is why I bought this. I bought this machine a year ago, and I really do like it. It's not nearly as expensive as like a Bernina, and my old machine was a Bernina, but it was also 32 years old, so it was time to get a new one. But this precision plate and foot is designed to help you do a more accurate scant 1/4 inch seam. So hopefully this will turn out really well, and you'll be able to see the quality of the end product. Okay, so now I'm going to take this over to my ironing board right here. I'll actually pull the ironing board over so you can see it. And what I'm going to do is now press it. So I'm going to be careful that my darks fabric is being pressed to the dark and not to a lighter fabric. And I'm going to still put this Teflon sheet over the top of my fabric because I don't want it to stick to my iron at all. There is a little bit of residual adhesive, so I have to put that over the top. And then what I do is I just start pressing, and I'm kind of just checking to make sure my seams are going the way I want them to go underneath as I'm pressing along. Okay, so I got down to the end. I need to move it over a little. Okay, and this is row 2. I already sewed row 1, and here's row 2, all done. So I'm going to go lay it up there in order, just so I don't get them mixed up at all, and I'll get my next one. So I'll see you back here once I have all my seams done. Hi, so the next step, you're going to start sewing rows together. So I sewed these 2 rows together to kind of show you how you do it. And I just finger pressed it. I'm just going to finger press it for now, and then I'll iron it on the iron after I get it all done together. But remember, each, like the center of this block, lines up with this seam. So the seams don't match the corners. It's going to go in the center of a block is how it works. So I'm just laying it out. Make sure you've got your little tree points going the right way. Make sure I've got the centers lined up. So I want this to go about there. Fold it over. This is my center. You can put a couple pins in if you'd like. Since it's not needing to be so precise, just a couple of like 3 pins, 1 on each end, maybe 1 in the center, should be more than enough. Okay, and when you're sewing, your ends do not line up on this. It's not supposed to line up. You're supposed to trim it when you get it all done, because some of the blocks, some of the 2-inch square pieces of fabric were getting trimmed off and turning into a half of a square. So don't expect it to line up at the ends, because it definitely doesn't. And then you just sew with your scant 1/4 inch. Okay, and there you have it. So I'm just going to finger press it over, put my next row on, and keep going. So I'll see you back as soon as I get it all sewn together. Hang on. Hi there. Okay, so a couple things I've been working on. I got all the rows sewn together, and then I pressed it and I trimmed up the sides, and then I ironed all 4 sides under by just like a 1/4 inch, because I'm gonna actually stitch this directly onto my shirt, the back of my shirt. I was originally thinking about putting a red border all the way around it, but I think this is a big enough piece to go on the back of my shirt that if I put a red border on it, it's just gonna make it bigger. And I don't really want it to be any bigger than it already is. I think it's plenty big the way it is. So again, sewed all the rows together, pressed it, and then I turned under the edges so it's ready to be sewn on. Then the next thing I did is I used my little paper punch and I punched out a star. And I just did that as a template. I just wanted to get a template for it. I traced it on a piece of fabric that had Steam and Seam 2 light on the back, and then I ironed it on. So here's my little pieces that I just cut my star out of. So I am going to sew on the sewing machine around this star, but I wanted to show you, just so that it's easier when I get this down on my shirt, I'm going to take a little bit of glue. Now this particular glue is by Acorn. It's precision piecing product, ideal for quilting, sewing, and applique. This is the glue, but honestly, any fine tip glue you can use. We had someone come and speak to us at our guild one time that talked about how you could even use Elmer's glue. So I'm just trying to secure this down a little bit better, so when I go to sew it on my shirt, I'm not having to worry about these tiny little seams coming up. Now, one thing I want to say about the Tin Sisters product that I use, the grid product, it creates a fairly stiff quilt top when you're done. So I know some people complain about that, but for this particular item, I wanted it to be a little bit stiffer. So I was going to put some kind of interfacing on it anyway. So I'm fine with it being just a little bit stiffer. But I know some friends that have used it, and when you wash it, it does soften up quite a bit. And then also think about when you're putting a lot of quilting in it. So I'm not putting a lot of quilting in this at all. I'm just stitching around the edge for my shirt. And then I'm going to be sewing buttons on randomly by hand for the ornaments. And that's what's going to secure this design on the back of my shirt even more, besides sewing around the sides. If I just sewed around the sides, it would probably pucker. So you really do want to adhere it some way a little bit more. You could even do some rag tying if you didn't want to quilt it, but I'm choosing to do buttons, or you could quilt it if you wanted to. All right, so once I get this sewn, I'm going to sew the star and I'm going to sew it on the shirt. So once I get that sewn, I'll be back with some more in just a minute. Almost done. Okay, here I am sewing this wall hanging patch on the back of the shirt. I decided to put 2 seams in it. The first seam I put in, I wasn't sure if I was catching all the very edges of the fabric that I turned under. So I went ahead and top stitched a second one. So it should be on there nice and secure now. And here's what it's gonna look like. Now I'm gonna go watch Yellowstone and add some buttons to it. And it'll look like little ornaments on the back of my Christmas tree. So we did have my husband help me brainstorm this. The shirt comes with like a little pleat in it. And we decided, rather than like spreading the pleat out or anything like that, I just kind of went over the pleat, if you can see that. And then it will pleat more down here at the bottom. So it should still fit nice. It's nice loose fit, which I really like for wearing with leggings. I'll probably pair it with like some black leggings or something. and I'll show it to you when it's all finished and I try it on tomorrow. Okay, I'm all finished with my shirt. I thought the front looked a little bit plain, so I ended up adding this Christmas tree, all made out of buttons. And the back, ta-da! Hopefully I inspired you to make a fun Christmas shirt, whether it's with a Christmas tree or whatever. If so, leave a comment and let me know what kind of Christmas shirt you made this year. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye. Hi all, I'm home from my Christmas party and I had a great time. They all loved the shirt. I got many compliments and I had a lot of fun. We played a couple games. I wanted to tell you about that real quick. We did a word search, and the 2 or 3 people who found the most words won a little prize. And then the person who found the least words also won a prize. So I wasn't in either one of those categories. I did not win a prize, which is fine. I did want to show you the president of our Quilt Guild, along with some of the other members of the Quilt Guild, all made each of us a Christmas present. And this is a little sewing gnome. So it's made with a bottle. She spray painted the bottle black, and then she put this little yarn for its beard on here, and then she hot glued some little sewing notions on there. So we're supposed to each put it in our sewing room, and we have a little gnome to think about all of our quilt guild throughout the year. And they had different colored felt hats. So this is felt yarn. This is just like a wooden bead or ball that you can buy. And she said they were super quick and easy to make. She did make like probably at least 30 of them, but they're super cute. All right, so we did do the little gift exchange. We had to bring a gift that was $20 to $25. And then we rolled dice. And on the dice, it was a big like block that we were rolling. On the block, it said, everyone pass presents to the left, everyone pass presents to the right, or just you change presents with the person sitting across from you, or play Santa Claus and get up and exchange two people's presents. So that was a fun game. We did not have the presents opened when we were playing the game, so we had no idea what was in the package. And so the gift that I ended up with, it had a couple different things in it. One is this super cute pin with these little sewing charms on it. If you can see it okay. Isn't that adorable? And then the other thing that I got is this cup holder that you can put on your ironing board. And you can either put like your best press or your water bottle for ironing, or you can actually put your water cup, however you want to use it. I personally need it for 2 things, because when I was sewing the other day, my water bottle actually fell on the floor, and I'm always knocking my water spray bottle and my best press bottle on the floor when I'm ironing. So that was like the perfect gift for me. I love the pin and love the little cup holder. What I gave as a gift, so of course I bought one for me and one to give as a gift, but this is what I gave for my gift. So it's a really cool wool bag, but inside of it, so when we have Quilt Guild, we actually go, instead of just listening to a speaker, we're working on projects while we're there. And then we have a meeting for like about an hour. And sometimes we have a lunch, sometimes we don't. So today being the holiday party, everybody brought food. We had a big potluck lunch and it was delicious. The Guild provided fried chicken from our local grocery store, and everything was really, really good. So inside of this bag is a whole wool pressing mat. So you have a wool bag to carry it in. So it's a little tote bag to carry it in. And then when you go to Guild or Sewing Bees or retreats or whatever, you just carry your wool pressing mat. It also came with this little iron holder thing, a little like, you know, silicone pad so that you don't get anything hot, and then the little directions. So I thought that was a really fun gift, and the lady who got it, she really enjoyed it also, was super excited about it. So great gifts. The third game that we played was left, right, center. So if you're not sure how to play that, we're gonna actually play it at our family Christmas this year, but we're gonna play it with money. How we played it at the Guild is everybody had to bring a fat quarter, and it needed to be black and white fabric only, because we have a friendship quilt project coming up next year that we're going to be making black and white squares and exchanging them. Or you could bring sewing notions. And so there were like 20 some people at our Christmas party. We divided into 3 groups, so there was about 6 per table, 6 to 8 per table. And you rolled your dice, and you had to pass you had to start out with 3 piles. You either passed the item in front of you to the left, to the right, it went to the center, or you got to keep it. And then the last one who actually had something left and didn't have, everybody else had all their stuff put in the center by then, was the winner of the whole pile of stuff in the center. So that person really won a lot of awesome prizes. So 3 people got that. They did have one little door prize that if you had like a little hole on your plate, then you were the winner of a door prize. And then I told you there were 3 prizes for the word search game. Everybody got the gnome, everybody got the gift that we had, the gift exchange. And then my friend from Guild, she had these adorable cookies, which, sorry, I ate mine because I did win one. She had these adorable cookies made that were featherweights. They were white featherweights decorated like a featherweight sewing machine. So adorable cookies that were made for us, and there were 14. So she did a drawing for who got to have a cookie to go home. So it was super fun party. Got to see all of these people are fairly new friends. I've only been to Guild probably a handful of times since we've moved here. So these are all, this is my first time having a Christmas party with them, and my first year to be in the Guild in general. So it was super fun. Glad I went, and they enjoyed the shirt. As you can see, I still have it on. And here's just a little, I don't know if you can see it, but there's the shirt. All right, thanks for watching. And now I'm off to work on my project for Merry Vlogmas Day 6. Stay tuned.